Hello. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us today. I understand that you would like to plan an event or a party of some kind. Yeah? Well, you've certainly come to the right place, and we would really love to help you to plan your best possible event and have the best possible time that you can. Now, what we normally do is we have a standard questionnaire that we run through with all our prospective clients, just so we can get a rough idea of what sort of party you would like, how many people, where, or what time of day, that sort of thing. And then from there we can move on to some finer details about the party planning. And then what I'll do from there is I will be able to make up a sample table spread for you, and we can have a really close look at some decor just to see what sort of atmosphere you would like to create at your event. Does that sound good? Excellent. Okay, well, so we can begin with the questionnaire. It's pretty easy questions to start with. Of course, I need to begin with your name. Oh, I recognize your name. Yes, you're quite well known around here. You really do some wonderful work. I think we're all really happy that you have come to our town. Of course, I will need to take some contact details, but you can rest assured that we will hold them with the utmost privacy, and we'll only keep them as long as we are planning the event, and then we can delete them from file just to protect your confidentiality there, as I know that's an important issue for you. So I just need to get your address. Okay. Mount Olympus, yes. Okay. And what is the type of event that you will be having with us? Oh, it's a Saturnalia banquet, yes. Yes, well, we've done lots of those in our time, so we certainly understand what sort of thing you'll be wanting. But of course, everybody wants something different, so I won't put any words in your mouth. I'm here to listen to what it is that you would like. But I will say that what we normally have with a Saturnalia is a suckling pig banquet. Is that something that you would be thinking of? Okay, so definitely looking at the suckling pig. And possibly the role reversal with the masters becoming slaves and the slaves becoming masters. Very important part of Saturnalia. Okay. You will be doing the role reversal, so of course that's going to affect the serving of the food and drink. And I'm guessing you're probably going to want something that's quite candle heavy in terms of the decor. Candles. Yes. We can obviously go through in much more detail with the decor later, but just sort of getting a real broad scope of your event here. Okay, now how many guests do you think you'll be having? 50, okay. And what time are you thinking you'll start? Midday? And what time would you like to finish? Okay, so yep, when the last guest passes out, yes. And when do you think that will be? Could be days, could be weeks, that's for sure. It is Saturnalia, so I'm going to put days, possibly weeks, so we can hold the venue for an extended period for you. And we are having a banquet. Okay, well, with that in mind, let's move on to the food, and I can run through our options for your banquet. So obviously we're going to base it around the suckling pig, but we have two standard options that we offer. Obviously we can customize, but I just want to run through these with you. Basically what we do is either a canapé offering, and you can have as many canapés as you like, enough to fill up your guests even, or you can have an actual sit-down meal with courses, or you could have a combination of both. Say for example you could start out with your canapés and then you could move on to the meal, And then, of course, as the party devolves and people imbibe more and it becomes more debauched, they may turn back more to some more snacking, so you can have another serving of canapes. And then as it progresses on into the next day, you may wish to have another 2-course meal. It's really completely up to you. So these are the menu items that we offer. So with the canapes, we would normally say that you could choose either 6 or 8 per person, depending on how much you want to fill them up, but we are open to a flexible arrangement with that. So with our canapes, you can choose from either the tomato, basil and parmesan arancini, or we have a feta and cherry tomato tartlet. We have the crispy pork belly with fennel and applesauce. Now, of course, with your suckling pick, we could take that pork belly right from the banquet itself, or we could have one separate. We also have the lamb meatballs with a smoky tomato sauce. We have your grilled prawns with lime. We have, of course, oysters with sea salt. We have the mini spinach and parmesan quiche. We have chicken skewers with a spicy sauce. And then a pork burger slider. So that's a pork on a tiny little bun. And then we have crumbed fish with chips and mayonnaise. You can also have that with tartare sauce if that's something that you prefer. Now, when it comes to the main meal, our entree is generally the warmed crusty bread served with marinated olives and local olive oil, of course, very traditional. And we tend to find that's enough of an entree, because then we move on to our mains of a pan-grilled whole sardines with a radicchio salad, which has sunflower seeds, and it's dressed with an orange vinaigrette. We also offer again a twice cooked pork belly, and that's served with roast apples and pears as well. And then that's all covered in a caramel glaze. Absolutely delicious, and of course the sweetness of the caramel glaze just goes perfectly with your pork. So I think that having the pork themed menu is really going to suit the theme of your party. And of course our mains are served with sides. We have chilled green beans with garden peas and feta, and we also have some nuts and a selection of cheeses. Then of course you must have a dessert. Now no Saturnalia would be complete without saffron cakes, of course. And then we also offer a fruit platter, which normally contains pears, figs, carrots, strawberries, blackberries, currants. We have some dams and plums in season, and we will also have some melon if we can, and also rose hips and pomegranates, all very appropriate to the theme of Saturnalia, of course. Now, of course, something that's very important to this event is going to be your beverages. So we of course have the full complement of traditional wines, and we also have some raisin wine and some honey wine, and of course we will also provide sufficient water for your guests to mix it in the concentrations that they desire. Of course, it being Saturnalia, we are aware that they will probably be inclined to drink it at full concentration, and we will be prepared for that too, with plenty of wine in store. Now, we do have a special dish that we do for very special events and special guests such as yourself, which is the traditional baked dormice. So that's when we stuff dormice with minced pork and sometimes the meat of other dormice as it demands, and we chop it up with some herbs and some pepper and some pine nuts, and then we put the whole thing into our little small oven. And once it's roasted, or baked I guess it is, we then roll it in poppy seeds to serve it, and that just provides you with some extra visual interest to your meal. It's also delicious and it's very traditional, so your guests will really feel like they're having the complete Saturnalia experience. Now, at your meal, it's going to be important, I think, to establish the service details. Normally, we would say our waiters will do all of the work, but of course, in a Saturnalia situation, you may want your slaves to be served by yourself and your fellow countrymen. So, is that something you're thinking you would like at this Saturnalia party? Okay, so just for the first few hours. Okay, so you would like these slaves to eat first. And would you like your guests who are not from the slave class to actually serve the dishes that we provide? Yeah. Okay. Guests to serve, and that's just for the first 2 hours. Okay. And then I take it your slaves will be tasked with taking over for us, or you would like us to then take over the serving and allow your slaves to continue the feasting? You'd like to allow them, okay? Slaves to continue as guests, and our staff to commence service. Now, of course, something very important at this event is going to be your spittoons. Would you like us to provide these spittoons for the vomiting and spitting part of the meal? And how many spittoons do you think will be necessary? Okay. 1 per guest. Now, as for the furniture, for a Saturnalia, we would normally offer a selection of the lectus lounges so that the men can recline, and then we would offer the upright chairs for the women to sit. Of course, you're not bound to that. If you have a more progressive view of the progression in Saturnalia, then we can just have all upright chairs, or we can have all lectus lounges. You like the more traditional approach, so we were going to need for 50 people. About how many men and how many women do you think you'll have? About half and half, okay. So you'll need probably, yes, lounges, about 8, I think. But we have quite a few in store, so if you discover on the day that you need some more lounges or fewer lounges, we can always arrange that. And then chairs, you're going to need at least 25 for the women. Okay, great. Now, we cannot proceed, of course, with an event without our entertainment and music, so I would like to just brief you first on a couple of the things that we offer here. We have contracts with local entertainers, and we think that we have selected some of the best. So the first option is our traditional music trio, and that features a lyre, a tibia, and the panpipes, of course. That's beautiful for setting a mood, and they provide a nice low-level background music. It's very traditional, very appropriate to the Saturnalia. If you want something a little smaller, we also have a solo artist. He is a flautist and a poet. Normally, I would say he would be an absolutely wonderful recommendation, but at the moment, I'm a little hesitant to recommend him because he just broke up with his lover, and for the last few months, all he has been able to play on his flute is something that sounds like a funeral dirge, and the poetry that he's been writing has been truly awful, really self-indulgent rhyming verse. So I'm not sure that you would be getting the best Saturnalia experience if you were to contract this particular individual. However, please don't let that taint your opinion, and certainly we would recommend him for future engagements, but possibly not this one. Now, your final option is the traditional Greek chorus. Now, I think this is just a wonderful addition to any event of this size. It really adds a certain atmosphere and a sense of gravitas to the occasion. Of course, it is a little more expensive given that you have so many performers to account for, but I think that it's well worth it. Yeah. So, do any of those take your fancy? Okay, traditional Greek chorus. Yeah, that will come in handy when people's behaviour starts to devolve over those days, and you're certainly going to want that voice of reason and some dramatic assessment that only a Greek chorus can provide, I think. Okay, now this is the part of the questionnaire where I want to talk about decor. So you mentioned that this is in many ways very traditional Saturnalia, so you want some candles, and we do offer many candles. We have lots of different types, so we have your traditional pillar candles, and we have candles in jars so that you get the most out of the light sort of effect, really reflecting inside and outside of the glass. We have floating candles which are suspended in water, also good in a glass jar so that the glass really reflects the most light possible and really catches it and holds it. And we also have candles on stands for a more dramatic effect, and we have tea light candles as well, which can be placed all over your venue for a real saturated in fire sort of feeling, and that really adds to the sense of devolution and debauchery that you get on a Saturnalia. So what I would like to do when you next come in is I'm going to show you a selection of our candles, but in the meantime, why don't you tell me what you sort of had in mind in terms of an ambience for your decor? If you had specific ideas, please do say. If you just had a general vague sort of theme in mind, that's also fine. I can work with that. Okay, so you're thinking sort of rustic, kind of hip, yep, okay. So you like lace doilies and burlap, okay. So you like that sort of country barn kind of feel, okay. And do you like everything to be uniform, or do you like that kind of mishmashed sort of you know, second-hand vintage store kind of feel? Yeah, you do like that? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is very fashionable right now. But also, I think it still will fit with your traditional kind of setting because, you know, everything that is old is new again. And even though this is a very contemporary style, it has its roots in older styles, in retro and vintage, so it's certainly not going to jar with your general ambience and feeling that you want. Now, as for flowers, would you like flowers as a centerpiece or flowers as a part of your celebration in any way? Yeah? Oh, you like these? Yeah, these are great. We just had our floral arranger put these together for us today, actually. They were just doing a little experiment and they had one left over, so I said, can you please give me one of these? I'm really enjoying this little one on my desk here. So, you know, it's got the pinks, the purples, and it's got some lilies in it as well, which I'm looking forward to seeing open up over the course of the next few days. So that's something you'd be interested in? Okay. Okay. Now, were you thinking you might like to have menus on the tables for the banquet? Yeah. Yes. And did you think you would like something like one per table or one per guest, or something like, you know, one menu between 4 guests? Okay. And is there any other signage that you think you might need? So, for example, we would normally recommend something like a sign for the gift table, Saturnalia being one of those events where you do give gifts rather than receive them. We think it's a good idea to have a big table and then your sign just indicating for the guests what it is so that there can be no mistaking that that is their gift to take on the way out. Is that something that you would be interested in? Yeah, okay. And there are also lots of other reasons that you might want to sign. We always have things like welcome signs and the name of the party, the name of the host, and anything else that you might like to draw attention to throughout the course of your event. So I can show you a selection of these sorts of things next time. Yeah. Signage options. Okay. And the last thing that I would like to tell you about is our thank you cards. So we do offer some thank you cards that can be purchased, which we definitely recommend if you would like to thank your guests for coming along to your party. And it's just much easier if you can package them up as a part of your event plan to begin with. So that's an option if you would like it. You'd like to look at those. Okay. Great. Well, I think I've got a really good idea of your party now. What I would like to do is mock up a sample table and decor for you so you can get a really good idea of the sort of ambience and the visual effect that you're going to get at your party. So why don't we set up a time to meet again? I will only need a couple of days to sort this out, so just whenever is good for you. Okay, so when are you normally free to do this kind of thing? We're here every day. Okay, so I'm just going to put this in my calendar. Tuesday, 10:30. Okay, beautiful. Well, is there anything else that you would like to ask me about today? Remember, next time you see me, I will also be able to field any questions that you may have, and you can also contact me at any time. No questions? Great. Well, I look forward to seeing you at 10:30 on Tuesday, and I'm really looking forward to planning this party for you. Okay, great to see you. Bye-bye.